Texas pulls the plug on Planned Parenthood. This is Special Report. Good evening. Welcome to Washington. I'm Brett Baer. There is new serious fallout tonight over the images of Planned Parenthood officials apparently negotiating the sale of leftover parts from aborted babies. Texas is yanking government funding from the abortion provider, a move that has already set off a war of words and is destined for a courtroom. Chief Legal Correspondent Shannon Bream has tonight's top story.
Texas is putting every Planned Parenthood affiliate in the Lone Star State on notice, informing them today that it started the process of terminating their access to millions of dollars in Medicaid funding. Alleging numerous violations of the law, including Medicaid fraud and illegal billing practices, today's letter says, quote, "The state has determined that you and your Planned Parenthood affiliates are no longer capable of performing medical services in a professionally competent, safe, legal, and ethical manner." The letter also cites undercover video released earlier this year by the Center for Medical Progress, which purports to show the director of research for Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast in Houston discussing conduct opponents say is illegal.
So if we alter our process and we are able to obtain intact fetal cadavers, then we can make it part of the budget.
Texas officials say altering the method or timing of an abortion for the purpose of harvesting fetal tissue violates both federal law and Medicaid program requirements. Planned Parenthood says the videos are deceptively edited and denies it has broken any laws. The organization fired back today, saying the decision in Texas should be viewed as a, quote, national scandal, adding, "We will fight back against this outrageous, malicious political attack in Texas with everything we've got."
I think what we've seen over the years is whenever anyone threatens Planned Parenthood's money, Planned Parenthood will sue. And so I certainly expect that, when this large slice of taxpayer dollars that Planned Parenthood somehow thinks it's entitled to gets taken away from it by Texas, that Planned Parenthood will react.
There's also a legal battle looming in California, where a brand new law on the books requires family planning clinics, even those that are identified as pro-life or faith-based, to post or hand out information to patients telling them where they can get abortions. A number of pro-life groups have joined together in a lawsuit saying the requirement violates their First Amendment rights. Brett?
Shannon, thank you. The question of whether Vice President Joe Biden will make a run for the top job has sparked a wild, wild west of speculation, leaks, timelines, and predictions based on unnamed sources. Right now, Fox News maintains Biden is expected to get in the race, and soon, to challenge Hillary Clinton for a Democratic nomination both have sought for much of their political careers. Correspondent Kevin Corke reports tonight from the White House.
I've been in a meeting with the President on another matter for the last 2 hours, and it's hard to say, Mr. President, you're on your own. I'm leaving.
Vice President Joe Biden joining business leaders at a White House summit to discuss climate change. But for much of the day, the chatter in Washington centered around whether or not the political climate was ripe for another Biden White House run.
If you're Joe Biden and your choices are going for the brass ring when you have a better chance than you've ever had, or riding off into the sunset, it's easy to see why the brass ring has attraction.
And sources tell Fox News' Ed Henry that attraction is so strong that Biden is expected to get into the race, hoping to give new meaning to the old adage, the third time's the charm. In 1988, dogged by allegations of plagiarism, Biden gave way to eventual Democratic nominee Michael Dukakis. In 2008, a fifth-place finish in Iowa, well behind caucus winner Barack Obama. That was enough to shutter his campaign, although he would eventually become the running mate for the man who went on to win the White House.
And if you're sitting right next to the president in every meeting and, wrestling with these issues, I'm sure that for him, he's saying to himself, I could do a really good job.
The president's words may have been the clearest signal yet that support for a Biden run is strong among many in his party, and comes amid reports that an announcement could happen sometime in the next 48 hours, just ahead of former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's Benghazi hearing on Capitol Hill.
The Clinton campaign really, really, really hopes that the vice president doesn't get in, because Hillary Clinton knows what it means. It means a tough, expensive, probably negative campaign.
There is no denying that Vice President Biden is somebody who brings a lot of energy to his current job. and based on the fact that he has run for president twice before, I think should be a clear indication that he believes that he's got something to offer to that debate. And to offer to the country.
Still, experts caution a late start, fundraising challenges, and a long record of gaffes to pick over could end a Biden run almost as quickly as it begins.
He's got real challenges ahead if he gets into the race. He's talented, he's got a lot to offer, but it's a hard road forward if he decides to go.
Meanwhile, another Democratic senator, a presidential candidate, Jim Webb of Virginia, is set to be having a news conference sometime tomorrow, Brett, at which point we hear he's going to talk about both his party and his candidacy. And get this, he is said to be considering a run for the White House as an independent. Brett?
All right, Kevin Cork, live on the North Lawn. Kevin, thanks. More on this with the panel. Independent audits and interviews compiled by the Associated Press say the State Department was among the worst federal agencies in cybersecurity during Clinton's tenure as secretary. The report says the situation has continued to deteriorate under John Kerry. State Department officials insist the current cybersecurity situation is solid and improving. A law enforcement source tells Fox the FBI is looking into allegations that a hacker broke into the personal email account of CIA Director John Brennan. The CIA says the material allegedly stolen does not pose a grave national security concern. A self-identified teen hacker tells the New York Post he also accessed the personal email account of Homeland Security Secretary Jeh Johnson. The Republican presidential campaign has devolved into an almost daily spat between Donald Trump and fill in the blank. Trump's latest and familiar foil is Jeb Bush, with the two of them arguing over some of the billionaire's harshest comments yet concerning a very sensitive subject. Here's Chief Political Correspondent Carl Cameron.
Had he been president in 2001, Donald Trump says the 9/11 attacks might not have happened.
I am extremely, extremely tough on illegal immigration. I'm extremely tough on people coming into this country. I believe that if I were running things, I doubt those families would have, I doubt that those people would have been in the country.
Except most of the hijackers were legally in the United States. Trump was defending his criticism of Jeb Bush for saying his brother did keep the nation safe after the attacks. Trump took it in a pre-9/11 context.
I'm not blaming George Bush, but I don't want Jeb Bush to say my brother kept us safe, because September 11th was one of the worst days in the history of this country.
My brother responded to a crisis, and he did it as you would hope a president would do. He united the country, he organized our country, and he kept us safe. And there's no denying that.
Bush went after the billionaire frontrunner's character.
It looks as though he's an actor playing the role of a candidate for president, not boning up on the issues, not having a broad sense of the responsibilities of what it is to be a president.
A Bush online attack ad notes the commander-in-chief controls the nuclear arsenal and questions Trump's fitness for office.
I will be so good at the military, your head will spin.
Let me tell you, I'm a really smart guy.
Calling into Fox and Friends this morning, Trump backed up and refocused on Iraq.
Did he keep us safe at home?
Well, we haven't had a major problem at home. I agree with that. I never disagreed with that. But we attacked a country. And you know what we have for it right now? Zero.
Meanwhile, Dr. Ben Carson clarified his claim in the last GOP debate that he would have avoided the war in Afghanistan by threatening to make the U.S. energy independent, causing moderate Arab states to hand over bin Laden in 2 weeks.
I think that probably would have trumped any loyalty that they had to people like Osama. Being able to use our drones and being able to use our intelligence and things of that nature, I think that's probably all that was necessary in Afghanistan.
The GOP frontrunners are at odds with party hawks.
Some idea that the Saudis and other Gulf Arab states would find bin Laden if we declared energy independence makes no sense to me. When Trump says that he would have prevented this, 16 of the 19 hijackers were legally. So I guess you could say nobody could ever come to the country.
9 days to the next GOP debate and 15 weeks to the first caucuses in Iowa. And on foreign policy, Republicans are at war, not just with Democrats, but with one another, Brett.
You look at the newest poll, the NBC Wall Street Journal poll, Trump hitting his highest mark at 25%.
Carson right on his heels and Rubio at third, but way back in the low teens as compared to Trump and Carson, which are a good, solid lead ahead of them.
All right, Carl, thank you. Up next, setting the stage for Hillary Clinton's testimony about Benghazi. First, here's what some of our Fox affiliates around the country are covering tonight. Fox 25 in Boston, as the federal government prepares to require many drone aircraft to be registered. It comes as the FAA receives about 100 reports a month from pilots who see drones flying near planes and airports. Toys and small drones are likely to be exempt. Fox 2 in San Francisco, as a Southwest flight from Los Angeles to San Francisco makes an emergency landing back at LAX because of a fight. Started strangling a woman who had leaned her seat back. The FBI says one person was detained. This is a live look at Miami from our affiliate, WSVN. A little churning of the waters there. The big story in South Florida tonight, the search for the person who opened fire at ZombieCon Saturday night in Fort Myers. One person was killed, 5 injured. Police say the shooter is a white or Hispanic man in his late teens or early 20s, and the search is on. That's tonight's live look outside the Beltway from Special Report. We'll be right back.